people who work in law enforcement, what is work like right now? Facebook friend is a cop. They gave him 24 hours off yesterday. Before that he put in 100 hours in 7 days. He pretty much slept through his day off. Yep. My brother's a cop. Has worked 20+ hour days in the past week. For a position that requires a level head, making someone work that many hours seems like sabotage. Tell that to the doctors doing 48-hour on-call shifts at the hospital. Right. It's tragic and dangerous that the people we rely on for our health and safety are worked to exhaustion. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. They do this for a reason. Studies have found that most mistakes are made with patient handoff between doctors. In order to minimize the patient handoffs at critical times, the doctor shift is extended. They have to balance the staff being overtired with miscommunications and mix-ups that happen with a change in staff. Am I being thick here when I say that there is probably a solution to improving handoffs that isn't being explored? My so is a doctor, and I'm an engineer. Let me tell you that doctors are one of the most reluctant to change group of people I've ever met. Sure, you can find better ways to do things, but to get them to adapt is impossible. Also, the traditional suggested schedules for med students and residency was literally made by a doctor who was on amphetamines. My dad's retired it. He spent grueling hours on his boat with a grin this week. Lmao. If the boat's called the Happy Retirement and they ask him to come back for one more case, you best be concerned. I'm too old for this shit. You're writing checks your ass can't cash. I bit a little more than I can chew. All sounds sweet. How is that even legal? That's less than 4 hours sleep per day. Aren't police meant to be alert? His life is in danger from the serious lack of sleep. Not only his life either. Decision-making and rationality have to suffer as well at that point. I know I would get irrationally angry if I'm that tired. Not a good mix. You are probably not going to like knowing the types of hours your doctor works either ... or those 48-hour shifts paramedics are pulling. Paramedics are allowed to sleep between calls. As far as I know, cops don't have a bunk to go back to. Yes, though I have done 48s without any sleep. It is not fun. The most I ever did was 72 straight. I got a 2-hour nap on the second day. I considered marrying the dispatcher that got me that window. Once did a 48 with 30 med calls and 1 structure fire. On the way home I ended up driving 10 miles past my exit because I couldn't think straight. I loved that job, but I do not miss that job. And they're out driving around putting all road users at risk. It might be more like 20 on 8-10 off, then another 20, then another break, etc. That's not any better. Better than doctors that stay up even longer during rotations. That's also not safe. Holy shit, this place is jacked up. Despite legal restrictions on tons of professions in America regarding consecutive hours worked, there are none for us. The best we can do is get paid overtime. Administration: hey, would you like to work a 16-hour shift tomorrow without enough notice to get a full night's sleep? Me: no. Administration: why not? I was thinking the same thing. Truck drivers aren't allowed to drive longer than 10 hours at a time. I feel like police should be at least similar. Am a trucker. It's 11 hours after the start of your shift, no matter how many of those hours were driving or not. However, you can get an extra 2 hours if an unexpected event forces you into it. Very serious fines if you get caught not abiding. Which is honestly a good thing. Also, you need to have 10 hours between shifts and an 36-hour reset after 70 hours on duty. Okay, I was close lol. I have a buddy that's a trucker and he was telling me about all these restrictions and he said the same thing about them being very strict about that. I think those are pretty reasonable rules. I would be all for similar requirements for police. Peace. Thanks for what you do. Truckers are the lifeblood of commerce in this country. They are extremely reasonable rules. There is no reason why our country is okay with forcing people to overwork to a dangerous degree in order to afford life. I just wish that part adjusted with our regulations. A friend of mine was a union lineman, since retired, and back in the 90s, after a hurricane, worked 20 on 4 off for 6 weeks. After the second day, they were in triple time, as the yacht didn't reset until they had a 10-hour break. He said the money was awesome, but the lack of sleep was brutal. After it was all said and done, he put a down payment on a house, which he hadn't planned on doing for another 2-3 years. Essentially, he was getting more than a normal week's pay every day.